Today, we're diving deep into a brand that whispers ultimate craftsmanship of understated tectonic perfection. We're talking about Lange Söhne. Now, have you ever found yourself lost in the macro shots of a Lange movement? That intricate dance of German silver, gold, chatons, and blue screws. It's what I call the watch enthusiast trap. You know what I mean. You see the photos, you read the history, and before you know it, you're completely smitten. You've worked hard. You've achieved a certain level of success, and you're thinking, it's time. I can finally consider a serious timepiece. And for many, that serious timepiece has a glashütte hallmark. Can you imagine that moment? You walk into the boutique, the quiet hum of luxury around you, and there it is, the Lange one. Perhaps it's the classic yellow gold, or maybe it's the sophisticated white gold. That iconic off-center dial, the outsized date, you try it on. It's substantial, it's beautiful. That piece, often starting around $44,700, feels like an arrival. But here's where the dream meets the spreadsheet. This is where we as informed enthusiasts need to ask some tougher questions. What happens after that incredible moment of acquisition? This brings us to our first plot twist, the numbers game. When we look at the data for Lange Söhne in the secondary market, what we're seeing is, well, it's quite illuminating. Let's be frank. For almost every model in the Lange catalog, with one notable exception, which we'll get to, the immediate secondary market value tends to be less than the retail price. We're seeing that many of these exquisite pieces, once they leave the boutique, will trade for a figure below what was initially paid. Take, for example, the Saxonia Thin. It's often considered an entry-level Lange, if such a term even applies to a watch of this caliber. An absolutely stunning, pure expression of watchmaking. Yet the data suggests that a Saxonia Thin, which might retail for, say, $28,000, could see its market value closer to $17,600. That's a difference of over $10,000. Now your first reaction might be, ouch, that's a significant drop. And it is, but hold on a moment. Could this depreciation, this market reality, actually be good news for informed buyers? Could this be, in fact, an opportunity? This leads us directly into what we might call the smart money approach. If you're not the first owner, that initial depreciation has already been absorbed by someone else. So what does this mean for you as a potential Lange owner? It means there are some genuinely compelling opportunities on the secondary market. Let's look at a grail for many, the 1815 chronograph, a masterpiece, truly. Retail on this beauty might be around $78,000, but what we're seeing in the data is that these can often be acquired pre-owned in excellent condition for figures closer to $50,000, maybe $51,000. That's a potential savings of over $27,000. Think about that for a second. In fact, what we're observing is that the 1815 collection, whether it's the chronograph, the annual calendar, the simple time only, often represents a sweet spot. We're talking potential discounts of 30%, sometimes even touching 40% off the original retail price for watches that are often meticulously cared for. Here's where potential collectors, not just first-time buyers, really need to pay attention. This isn't just about finding a deal. It's about understanding market dynamics to acquire incredible horology at a more accessible price point. But is it all about money? Is the biggest savings at the end of the story? Well, that brings us to our second plot twist for today, the real decision points. Because acquiring a watch of this magnitude, even at a significant savings, isn't just a financial transaction, it's a commitment. So let's talk practicalities. Most Lange watches, with the exception of the Odysseus, have a water resistance of around 30 meters. What does that mean in the real world? It means they're splash resistant. Washing your hands? Fine. Caught in a light rain shower? Probably okay. But are you going to go swimming with your Datograph? Absolutely not. This is a watch that demands a certain level of care and awareness. Then there's the servicing. These are complex machines, veritable works of art. Servicing them is a specialized skill and it comes at a cost. You should anticipate service intervals of roughly 5 to 7 years. And the costs range from, say, $1,500 to well over $3,000 or even more for highly complicated pieces. This is part of the long-time commitment of owning a Lange. It's like owning a high-performance car. The maintenance is part of the experience. And finally, there's a simple reality of wearing a watch that, even pre-owned, might represent $30,000 to $50,000 or more on your wrist. Are you comfortable with that? Does it bring you joy or a touch of anxiety? This is a personal consideration, but a crucial one. It's about integrating this beautiful object into your actual life. So, with all this in mind, the allure, the market realities, the practicalities, we arrive at the collector's dilemma. If you're captivated by Lange, I know I am, what's the right path for you? What we're seeing in the data and in the collector community suggests a few distinct approaches. First, there's what we might call the safe choice, financially speaking, and right now that points squarely to the Odysseus in steel. This is the one Lange model that, due to its sportier nature, steel construction, and limited availability, has generally been appreciating above its retail price on the secondary market. If your primary concern is value retention or potential appreciation, the Odysseus steel is where the current market is pointing. Second, there's the heart choice, my choice. This is the watch you fell in love with. For many, that's the Lange one in one of its iconic forms, or perhaps a Datograph. It's the piece that speaks to your soul, the one you saw in those initial photographs that started this whole journey. You understand it might depreciate from retail, but the joy of ownership, the connection to the brand's heritage outweighs that for you. You're buying it for the sheer love of that watch. And third, there's the value choice, or perhaps we should call it the smart collector's choice. This is where you leverage the market dynamics we discussed. You aim for a beautiful pre-owned piece from the 1815 or Saxonia collection, perhaps even a more complicated piece at that 30-40% discount from retail. You get all the Lange craftsmanship, the heritage, the stunning finish, but at a significantly more accessible price point. You're essentially letting the first owner absorb that initial depreciation. This brings us to a final thought, a sort of gentle twist in our story. Why depreciation, which sounds like a negative, might actually be your friend. You see, the luxury watch world, especially at this level, isn't always a straightforward investment landscape like stocks or real estate. While some watches do appreciate, many, even from the most revered brands, don't keep pace with their retail prices in the short to medium term. And here's the nuance. There's a difference between collecting watches and investing in watches. Are you buying a Lange hoping it will double in value in 5 years? The data suggests that for most brands, that's an unlikely scenario. Or are you buying a Lange because you appreciate the artistry, the history, the engineering, and you want to experience the joy of owning and wearing something truly exceptional? Perhaps the real question isn't, should you buy an Lange, but rather, are you ready for an Lange? Are you ready for the commitment it entails, the understanding of its market, and the pure, unadulterated joy it can bring, irrespective of short-term value fluctuations? Ultimately, owning a Lange is a deeply personal journey. It's about appreciating one of the finest expressions of horological art in the world. Understanding the market just helps you enter that journey with your eyes wide open, ready to make the choice that's truly best for you. So, what are your thoughts on Lange? Which model captivates your imagination? And how do you view its place in your collection or aspirational list? Let us know in the comments below. And see you in the next video.